But as you know, part of our budget agreement required us by law to go back to the people for approval, right at the time when the people wanted to send Sacramento a powerful message. That message was clear. Do your job. Don't come to us with those complex issues. Live within your means. Get rid of the waste and inefficiencies, and don't raise taxes. Now, as I stand here today, we are in the midst of the greatest economic crisis since the Great Depression. In the past 18 months, 1/3 of the world's wealth has vanished. And because of that, and because of California's outdated and volatile tax system, our revenues have dropped 27% from last year. You can see this right here on the charts next to me. It's very clear. We are now back to the same level of revenues we had in 2003. And when you adjust for inflation and population, we are back to the level of the late 90s. California's day of reckoning is here. In order to deal with our limited amount of money, I've proposed some dramatic changes in our May revision. Those spending cuts represent much more than the hard decisions necessary to balance our budget. They represent a transformation of what services Sacramento can provide and how those services are delivered. The immediate task before us is to cut spending to the money that is available to us. We have no time to waste. The controller has told us that we have 14 days to act, or California is at risk of running out of cash.
California is 33 hours away from going over a cliff. The state controller will begin issuing IOUs on Wednesday unless the state's cash crisis is resolved. There is a simple step that the governor can take to avoid that. We're here today to call on the governor to release the Senate Republicans to vote on the 3 pieces of urgency legislation in the Senate that was passed overwhelmingly on a bipartisan basis in the Assembly. Those urgency bills, as you know, could provide as much as $4 billion in immediate cash solutions to the state until August. After the governor met with the Republican lawmakers, those bills were held hostage. As we urge for the swift passage of this urgency legislation, we are continuing to vote to fix the budget in a responsible, balanced way. While we still believe it would be best to have 2/3 and to have a bipartisan approach in order to get the budget fixes, and you know that we need the 2/3 vote so that it can go into effect immediately, we are going to move forward regardless. And what you saw last night, and I know many of you were here until very late last night, you saw the Assembly pass the bills on a majority vote basis. It's really incomprehensible from our point of view that the governor will allow for the state to run out of cash when he has a bipartisan solution that can be to him as early as this afternoon if he just says the word.
Of course, given the fiscal crisis in California, these shows all will be competing directly with Governor Schwarzenegger's new reality series, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
We'll never forget the governor violating the minimum funding guarantee for schools. He said he was sorry. He said never again. But since then, $12 billion more in education cuts. And now Schwarzenegger says he'll break the minimum guarantee to our schools again. Summer schools already canceled. Class sizes on the rise. Art and music eliminated. Tell the governor we haven't forgotten. Protect our schools and put our kids first.
$12 billion in education cuts. Summer schools already canceled. Class sizes continuing to rise. Art and music programs eliminated. It's time to pass a fair state budget, now. A budget that protects the minimum funding guarantee for California schools. A budget that protects our kids. Tell the governor and your lawmakers, pass a fair budget now and put our kids first.
2 million Californians are out of work. and state leaders just imposed one of the largest tax increases in history. But the big labor unions want to raise your taxes again to try to protect every penny of state bureaucrats' salaries. Labor unions are spending millions on ads and are even bullying state leaders in the budget process with blatant threats to protect their bloated contracts.
We helped to get you into office, and we got a good memory. And come November, if you don't back our program, we'll help to get you out of office.
For too long, SEIU and their cronies have used intimidation to hijack the budget process. And with the economy in shambles, union bosses are now demanding even higher taxes on hard-working, already overtaxed families. Call the Democrat leadership in Sacramento and tell them it's time to stand up to the union bullies.
When candidate Barack Obama spent a day with a home care worker in Oakland, he saw what every politician should see. How for thousands of California seniors and people with disabilities, caregivers like Pauline Beck are a lifeline, allowing people to stay in their homes while saving taxpayers money. So when Governor Schwarzenegger proposes slashing home care, forcing seniors into nursing homes, and caregivers into poverty, he's not just being short-sighted. This governor doesn't see them at all. Sponsored by the California members of SEIU.
You elected me to control spending in Sacramento, not as a Republican or Democrat, but as a Californian. At times it has proven to be a tough task, but now the stakes have never been higher. Californians are losing jobs, losing homes, and are worried about their children's future. And Sacramento is asking me to sign a budget that raises your taxes and spends money we do not have. I will not sign a budget with higher taxes that causes businesses to leave or more jobs to vanish. And I will not sign a budget that does not address the waste, fraud, and abuse in our government. And I will not sign a budget that pushes our financial problems down the road, because the road stops here. I'm standing firm for a balanced budget that does not raise your taxes. I'm asking you to stand firm with me. Stand for California.